Hi, my name is Ivan Beliveau, and I'm the host and producer of Right to Know. And today we're going to talk about a subject that's very interesting in the state of New Hampshire. We're going to talk about climate change. It's in the news all the time, and there's many ways to look at this. But we have with us Mark McPeak, and Mark is the director of the UUSC Just Democracy program. And we're going to talk about climate change from different perspectives. We're going to talk about the way it affects New Hampshire, and there's actually an initiative in New Hampshire to take a look at this. So I would like to introduce Mark McPeak. Welcome to Right to Know.
Thank you, Ivan.
And why don't you take a moment and introduce yourself and say who you are and perhaps even what UUSC Just Democracy means, what that stands for.
I'd be happy to. Thank you for inviting me. Mark McPeak is my name. I'm the executive director of UUSC Just Democracy. Our organization is an issue advocacy organization based here in New Hampshire, but hoping to expand beyond New Hampshire in the future. We're focused on two issues, climate change and the war in Iraq. And our purpose is to provide a space for people from progressive religious communities to extend their activism into legislative and electoral realms so that they can get involved not as part of their church or part of their social justice committees or what have you, but as part of their own agenda as progressive people of faith, to engage in advancing justice here in our state. And as I said, we're focused on those two issues, climate change and the war in Iraq. We are a companion organization.
This climate change forum that just happened recently, could you say something about that?
I'd be happy to. It was on the 28th of October. We organized, a group of organizations with my organization in the lead, organized a sort of pre-electoral candidate discussion or campaign discussion about climate change. We invited 4 distinguished panelists to talk about various aspects of climate change. We invited all of the federal campaigns to send representatives to this, and we invited the public. It was held at UNH, sponsored by UUSC Just Democracy, my organization, by Oxfam America and CARE International, and then by the other co-sponsors were...
So I invite us to look at this clip from this perspective. So shall we watch it?
Let's do that.
Okay.
Basically, he's a really smart guy. I'd like to introduce Dr. White.
That's your definition of smart, Scott. I'm in a lot of trouble. All right, hopefully our AV is going to work. All I have to do, press the computer.
That's the definition of smart.
I'd actually like to start tonight not talking about the science of climate change, but talking about why I believe this is a key moral issue. And I think there's many different dimensions to that, but I just want to share 2 with you this evening. The first, as was already mentioned, it is those who are most vulnerable in our society who are going to suffer the most from the results of climate change. And I can't think of any better example than Hurricane Katrina. If you look at the impacts of Hurricane Katrina, or you've been down to New Orleans since, you can clearly see it was those that were at the lower end of the socioeconomic ladder, or those who were in the hospital that suffered the most. That's one example. A second example is, when all of you drove here tonight, or took the bus, maybe some of you, you emitted carbon dioxide. And that carbon dioxide is going to be in the atmosphere for, on average, 100 years. So the other moral dimension for me is that we're reaping all the benefits of the inexpensive energy that we're using, and we're pushing all the problems off on our children and grandchildren, making this a moral issue. So that's where how I frame it, save a lot of carbon dioxide. The Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative now passed. Right? We're going to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 2.7 million metric tons, and in 2025, despite what you read in the Union Leader, it's actually going to be good for our economy because we'll be spending our energy dollars, more of our energy dollars, in the state. And then finally, if we promote durable wood products from our forests, from sustainable harvest, we'll actually reduce it at 500,000 ton of carbon dioxide, and we'll make some money at the same time. So that's the point I want to leave you with, which I think is where the discussion is actually moving is that the reason that we need to talk about climate change is the solutions to climate change are going to be good for our economy in the long run. They're going to require initial investment, but they're going to be really good down the road, primarily because we close the energy loop and we spend more of our energy dollar in our own economy.
So we've just seen an 18-minute clip talking about climate change, and what came out of that for you? What was your impression of what was said there?
Well, having seen it live and then seeing the clip as we've just seen it, Cameron Wake is just a phenomenal scientist, and he is very gifted in explaining not only the science, but, as we saw, to some extent the economics of this because of his service on the governor's task force.
Oh, we have another video clip with Reverend Roberta Finkelstein speaking. Would you like to set that up for us?
Yes, her at our forum at UNH on the 28th of October. I don't think people really knew what to expect from Roberta. You had Cameron speaking on science, you had Nancy Hirschberg talking about the business aspects, and then you had Stacy Vanderveer talking about national security. So Roberta speaking from a values or from a faith standpoint, I think that the audience really didn't know what to expect, and they were shocked. They were shocked in a good sense. She was, as you all will see, just moving. It was an emotion-laden appeal. And the way she frames it, as our audience will see, is that
As a parish minister, I come about this a little differently from a different perspective. I was thinking about if I did a PowerPoint, what would the slides be? And I decided not to do a PowerPoint as a result. The primary question I ask myself always when we think about involving ourselves as a congregation or as a religious movement in a civic issue is, what does a faithful response look like? What is here to address a simple matter of justice, a simple matter of morality? We cannot let any of the candidates from president to Senate to Congress, we cannot let them forget about our concerns for a sustainable future. I want to say to those of you who are representatives of the campaigns, we who care deeply about sustainability, we are values voters. And our value is a commitment to bringing to bear the resources, the energy, and the ideas of the best and the brightest of our generations to halt the degradation of this planet, this gift, and to go back to Dr. Wake's terms, bring us down on that chart to that 350. That 350, that's a theological concept as well as a scientific concept, and it's one that I think we all have to get behind so that we do have a future to pass on to our children and our grandchildren. Thank you.
Well, that was an interesting clip. What can you say about the clip from your perspective?
well, as I said, it was just an electric moment.